Hey everyone, I'm so excited to finally make this video, to be making it. I've been wanting to make it since even before I turned 30, and today I am officially 30 and a half years old. I can't believe it. 30 has been a crazy year in terms of just stuff that I've been going through, things that I have learned, and I hope that with this new wisdom that I have, I will be better off um, for the rest of the year of 30 and for the rest of my decade of being in my 30s. So let's get started with the video. As cheesy as this sounds, it's so true. Life goes on with or without people, and I feel like I'm the type of person, like, I get attached to people. What I've learned from, I'd say, from my 20s up to this part, turning 30, I've realized I get so attached to people, and I don't even think that I'm trying to. It just happens. And it's like in life, there's so many temporary people, like work people, even like good friendships that you never thought would end, they do end. So I'm really realizing now, like, how important it is not to get attached to people. And it's so hard because I feel like I'm the type of person who kind of, I'm good at making acquaintances, but I'm not the best at keeping or making real friends. Not that I don't have any, but in terms like going forward from the age of 18 over, I have yet to have like a good friend that lasted. The last friend that I made that lasted like 7+ years, I made in high school. So for the 12 years of being an adult, I have yet to make a friend that has exceeded the 7-year mark. And going off topic a bit, but it's just, don't get so attached to people, and make sure that they feel the same way about you before you feel any type of attachment, because life really goes on with or without those people, and really have to think about yourself and your priorities first. To my females around my age, I feel like our body really sets in, like your body just doesn't react the same way anymore. And like, I've heard this so much, like throughout my 20s, like, oh, once you hit 30 or 25, whatever, your body just doesn't feel the same anymore. You can't work out. You take longer to recover when getting sick. And I was like, yeah, whatever. But literally, since I turned 30, I had a cold that turned into the flu, which never happened. I never got a flu before. I got 2 stomach viruses within 3 weeks, which I barely get stomach viruses. The last time I got was last year. And before that, I was like 10 years old. So that's how rare it is. And I had jaw issues, like all these not so serious, but yet serious things have been happening to my body, and it's been taking me longer to recover. So it's really important to tune in with yourself, understand your body, understand the things that make you feel sick physically and mentally too, and how you could best treat it for yourself, because this body isn't getting any younger. We're only getting older. So we have to take better care of our health. If you don't take time out for yourself, your body is going to do it at a time that is not beneficial for you. That's a quote that I heard not too long ago, and several times, and it is so true. Like, you can't pour from an empty cup. I'm an introvert by nature, always have been. I'm just now starting to accept the fact that I am. Throughout my teens, and I say the first half of my 20s, I was kind of ashamed of being an introvert. I felt like I had to change myself to fit in and all this nonsense. But I felt like the more that I accepted it, the more I was able to work on myself and my personality, and I have become more outgoing. So there's this myth that introverts, they're shy and they're quiet. Like, I could be very outgoing, but I need that time to myself to recharge from previous events and to prepare for future events. So if you get me, you get me. But whether you're an introvert, extrovert, anywhere in between, take time for yourself, because nobody's going to do it for you. And if you don't take care of yourself, your body is going to collapse at a very inconvenient time. Your body, soul, and mind. One thing about adulthood that I didn't want to come to terms with and accept is the fact that not only is it more difficult to make friends as you get older, but the good friends that you already have and those that you want in your life, you will see them less and less. And that goes back to point number one about, or one of the points that I previously discussed about putting yourself first. So the older you get, I notice people don't prioritize friendships as much. So it's not that they don't want to be your friends, but being friends really isn't the top of people's priority list. I feel like in high school, college, those very social years when we are turning into ourselves, to the person that we were meant to be, we treasure friendships because, socially, these people really do help us to become the person that we were meant to be. But as you get older, and I say beginning within the 30s and even into your 40s, 50s, and beyond, there's other aspects of ourselves that we'd like to cater to. So, that's usually the time when people get married, find the love of their life, want to start a family, are really invested in their career. So those things, I feel like once you hit 30s and beyond, those things kind of take precedence over friendship. And it's not to say that you'll never meet friends or people who don't care about making friends. It's just not as much of a priority anymore. And you have to be okay with that. Life goes on. I feel like your 30s is the best time to go for a career change because you're old enough to have experience, but young enough to still start over. So I feel like your 20s are really for learning what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you like and what you dislike. So that by the time you enter your 30s, you kind of have a better understanding of who you are and what you are and where you would like to be career wise. So your 30s, I'd say even specifically early 30s, because as I said, I feel like 30s are usually the childbearing years when you want to start a family. So any time is great to start, but I'd say specifically the first half of your 30s, you just really need to know what you want and go for it, because there is no time like the present, and money will return, but time won't. I feel like once you hit 30, that pressure really begins about wanting to get married, having kids, or feeling like you have to. But I feel like you're at that age now where you really need to know or should know, is this something that I really want for myself, or is it something that I feel like I need to have to prove to others that I'm successful? So I feel like in your 20s, many people, they feel to, have the marriage and kids by 30 as the norm says you should, by societal norms. But like, say if you had kids at like 21, by the time you're 30, like, are you happy? Like, I just don't want to be rushed into something. I don't. Like, I know the clock is ticking, but when you think of, this is somebody that I have to truly love, who I want to be with, and who I want to raise other human beings with. And I mean, divorce is possible, but you really want to have to go through that? Like, I want my first marriage to be my only marriage. I want to raise a functional family. That's a lot to consider. And you just have to make sure you're ready for it. It's not about showing off anymore. You really have to think, this person is going to be with me for practically my whole life. And I need to be with them in order to support my kids, to show them what a family should be like. And just think very carefully. It's not about rushing anymore. People aren't mind readers, so you really have to learn to get better at expressing yourself and your needs and how you feel in general. So as I said before, I'm an introvert, so I have a lot of inner dialogue in my head of things I want to say to people, how I think they'll react to what I'm saying. I just constantly have like a dialogue going in my head, and I sometimes forget that if I'm not making my requests known verbally, or I guess could even be written, but more verbally in this case, people aren't going to know how I feel and what I want. So I've really learned the art of expressing myself. And it's easy enough just to express yourself, but you really have to learn to express yourself in a coherent manner that just really captivates people and wants and gets them to listen to you. I don't know if you have this issue, but for me, sometimes I feel like what I want to say makes perfect sense in my head, but when I actually open my mouth and say the words, I get all mumbled and jumbled, and I stumble on my words and everything. And I'm like, that's not how it went in my mind. So then that's another reason why, for myself specifically, I want to learn to be a better communicator, so that um, I sound just as good in my by mouth as I do inside my head. So the older that I get, the more I realize how important it is to classify people based on how you or how they respond to your needs. So we can't be close with everyone. We can't be everyone's best friend or have them as our best friend. So you really need to know where you stand with people and just classify them accordingly. You will know where you stand with people based on how they respond to your needs. So as they say, no response is a response. If someone wanted to make time to see you and talk with you, they would do so. So it's really important to not give people best friend status when they're only an acquaintance. And it's the same with acquaintances. Giving people best friend status when they're only acquaintance, and you can't just give too much for people who aren't willing to give you the same in return, because we have many things going on in life, and knowing where we stand with people should be the least of our concerns and worries. So find that out and act accordingly. Don't give yourself out so freely. You should be obsessed with at least one form of physical exercise. You're not going to be good at everything. Honestly, I don't care to be a runner. Walking, I'll do every now and then, but I'm really obsessed with home exercises and dance classes. I try to convince myself that I could be a gym person, but deep down inside, I know I'm not. So I'm not going to force myself to go to the gym, spend money on a membership when I know I'm not going to be there, when I know I'm not going to go. So it's really important to be obsessed with one form of physical exercise and stick with it, at least one form. If you have two, that's great. But don't spread yourself out too thin and do all these exercises just because you want to lose weight or gain weight or firm up. Part of growing up is realizing what exercises do what to your body. And for me personally, the second half of my 20s really showed me what exercises do what. So for me, I want to be able to maintain my weight and also gain more muscle. So I do strength training exercises. I don't necessarily need to be a walker or a runner. Cardio is more for people who want to lose weight, in my opinion. I'm a dancer, not because I want to lose weight. I don't even think of dancing as a form of exercise, even though it is. To me, I see it more as an art form. So I like to focus more on home workouts that I know target certain parts of my body that I'm looking to transform. Just because someone is blood related doesn't mean that you have to feel close to them. You're under no obligation to be close to any family member that you don't want to, no matter how bad other people make you feel for it. What I realize is they don't necessarily have to treat you bad to have no connection with them. I mean, to want nothing to do with them. But if you don't feel any sort of connection, if you don't look forward to seeing them, to talking to them, and if you just feel like being around them drains your energy, that's reason enough to keep them at a distance. In the same way that we classify friendships, I feel like we could also classify family members. Like, I don't have anyone in my family that I really hate, but I have certain people that I feel drain my energy, who I feel I can't tell everything to. So I really have to put limits on what I could tell them or what I should tell them. And part of turning 30 has made me realize that you don't have to cut family members completely. You don't have to be a bitch to them. You don't have to, just be a bad person to them. But you just need to have boundaries and know the type of people that you're looking to be around, that you want in your life. And just like I said, family, just like with friends, not every friend is supposed to be in your life. Not every family member is supposed to be in your life. And the best advice I gave to myself is you don't have to cut people off completely, but just keep them at a distance. I'm okay being a seasonal family member to certain people, calling on occasion, checking up every now and then. But if you don't feel a connection, they don't need to be a big part of your life, and that's okay, as long as you're a good human being to them overall. As I said before, time doesn't return. Money returns, but time won't. So you really have to be conscious of your time. Um, for the past 5 or so years, I've really realized how fast a single day goes. Even days when I have nothing planned to do outside, because I usually have something planned every day. I'm rarely bored. If I'm not socializing with people, I have tons of projects to keep me occupied at home. So it's just whether you're home or with people, it's so important to have proper time management, to have your priorities, set your priorities straight, because time is really a precious thing and you will never get it back. There are 24 hours in a day. Roughly 8 hours are spent sleeping. What are you doing with those 16 hours? Are you being intentional with that time? Are you putting them into good use? It's also okay, it's perfectly okay to be like, hey, for 16 hours I want to do absolutely nothing. That is fine. Like, just make sure. I feel like doing nothing is doing something. So if you feel like doing nothing for a few days in a row and you feel like that's intentional because it's helping you get your energy back, do that. I mean, productivity looks different every single day. And remember, being productive isn't the same thing as being busy, isn't the same thing as being productive. As long as you feel like your hours are being put into good use, that's all that matters. So, for all my introverts out there and shy people or quiet people, this one might make you feel a little uncomfortable, but it's so true. Having good conversation skills really gets you so far. People want to remember you for something more than just looking good. You have to have a good personality. You have to know how to make and maintain conversation with people, even if they're people who you're like, I don't care to be around, coworkers, people who you only are having small chat with. For me personally, I'm a deep thinker since I'm an introvert. So I feel like I really like to have meaningful conversations. But I have to say to myself, hey, like these associates that I surround myself with work, like they may not feel up to it. They may have very low energy that day and they just want to get through the day, but um they just want to be, personable and have good conversation. So I'm training myself now to become more comfortable with small talk in order to engage with people more. Just because people, they like talking and sometimes to me I feel like people talk too much, but it's just any little thing to make conversation, just to make yourself more personable, to feel more at ease around people, to let people know, hey, I'm not stuck up, like I like you. um Maintaining conversation, I feel, isn't as hard as I'm more struggle with making conversation with people, if I'm completely honest. Like I could join a conversation, I could maintain it, but sometimes I'm trying to work on creating better conversation and more meaningful conversation with people. But it is so important and it really gets you far in life to have good conversation skills. You really need to feel emotions um before you could bypass them, before you could heal. And it's so true. I struggle with overthinking. So sometimes I overthink an issue so much that I make it more of a problem than it really is. So if you also feel this way, I recommend giving yourself a certain amount of time to feel the emotion to the fullest. So say I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna overthink this for like 5 minutes, and then after that I'll just be like, there's no need to overthink it. But don't confuse overthinking with feeling something. I think sometimes I tend to skip the feeling process because I'm afraid of overthinking, but it's not the same. Feeling an emotion is just, crying, letting it out, talking to someone until you feel better. Once you say to yourself, I'm feeling better, then that's it. You don't really need to revisit it unless it somehow comes up into your mind again. But overthinking it is still looking for excuses to make yourself upset. And I feel like I'm that type of person. Like, I'd be like, okay, I'm fine now. And then in 5 minutes, I'd be like, okay, I'm a little too fine. So I'm going to overthink it. But basically, what I'm saying is you have to feel your emotions. Don't get it confused with overthinking, but definitely don't skip this step. It is very crucial to your mental well being and healing. Probably um since a child, but honestly I really started to notice it taking effect since like seventh, eighth grade. I would have like a morning routine for myself, do this at this time while getting ready for school, and I'd literally give myself like a limited amount of time, and I still do the same thing getting ready for work. And it's crazy how we get into these routines so much that it's like we forget to live. Like, life takes us by surprise sometimes, and like you don't always have to be looking at the clock being like, oh, time's running out. I think I have a major fear of time running out, and that's why I'm so stuck in my routine, because I'm like as I said before, like using time to the fullest. But I mean, life happens, and I feel like you have to embrace being spontaneous. If you have people in your life who are the exact opposite of you, who are very spontaneous, who are up for anything, anywhere, any time of the day, you could learn from them. I mean, you could be spontaneous in a smart way. It doesn't have to be like by making stupid decisions, but get out of your routine so much, get out of your head, relax, enjoy life more, be happy. So, I am a very spiritual person in the sense that I believe in having a relationship with God. I've never, I guess you could say I was religious as a child just because of the relationship, the household that I was brought up in. But I became as an adult, as a young adult, I decided relationship over religion. Long story to that. But basically, I have been gifted with the gift of prophecy since like a teenager, and as I became older into my adulthood years, I really just embarked on my spiritual journey with God, always asking Him questions, praying a lot. Um, and He would answer them through the form of dreams, visions, audibly. And many people think it's amazing. I'm not here to like toot my own horn or anything, but a lot of people really look up to that. They say it must be wonderful having a relationship with God, and it definitely is. But I feel like I've just been holding on to it so much that I forget that God isn't a genie, and He isn't going to tell me every single thing about my life, who, what, where, when, how, why, all those details. So I have to learn to be comfortable with not knowing things. And there was a time in my life when I didn't have that strong relationship with God as I do now, and I was perfectly okay with not knowing. And because God wants us to be surprised, He wants us to live life to the fullest. If we went to Him for every little thing, there would be no room for growth. We would not make, I mean, we would not make mistakes. There'll be no room for growth. And God wants us to experience life. So it's okay to not know. And that's the same advice I want to give to you guys that I'm also trying to incorporate in my own life now. It's okay to not know. As you guys probably sense by now, I'm very into my priorities. It just makes me feel more put together as a person. Now that I have entered my 30s, I guess you could say, I realized now more than ever how important it is to get my priorities straight. Um, God is number one in my life. Then I'm trying to focus on myself, my personal growth, my studies, just anything that I feel would better me as a person. Then the last would be, well, not the last, after I want to focus on my family. I don't have a family of my own yet, but the family that's closest to me, I really do care to cater to them in any way, shape, or form. And socially, when it comes to friends and romantic relationships, I don't want to be like I'm putting them last, but I just really believe in having things in that specific order in order to feel more fulfilled. Those are just my priorities. It may look differently to you, um, and that's perfectly fine. It's just you need to know yourself better and get your priorities straight. In terms of relationship, in terms of personal fulfillment, there's only 24 hours in a day. You need to know what comes first and stick with it, act on it. I saw this video on TikTok not so long ago, and a girl was talking about how her face is the outfit. Meaning, like, if you know you have a nice looking face, you don't have to wear expensive designer outfits. And it's so true. Like, um, you know your personal style. But for me personally, I'm a kind of a girly girl. I mean, not like a complete girly girl, but I just like presenting myself in a good way. I'm not trying to show off or anything, but I firmly believe that if you look good, you feel good, you do good. That's what sort of thing. So, when it comes to outfits, I don't want to put so much emphasis on dressing up all the time. If there's a reason to, I will, but there are other ways that I could make myself look and feel physically attractive. It's not all about the outfits. If I want to go out in jogging pants, yoga outfits, that's fine. I used to like not want to step the house. When I was in my early 20s, I remember my mom gave me this like hoodie and sweatpants, and I thought it looked so ugly. I was like, I'm only wearing this at home, I'm not wearing it out. But then years went by, I was just like, whatever, I'm not gonna wear my fanciest outfit to the grocery store. Like, you don't have to look fancy all the time. Embrace versatile outfits, embrace semi-casual, semi-formal, very casual. You could rock anything if you have a pretty face. It doesn't matter what clothes you wear. Your face is the outfit. Don't expect praise from other people. You have to praise yourself. Um, this is still taking me a while because I still do kind of care a lot about fitting in. I mean, not a lot, but I kind of do want validation from other people to an extent. It's not as much as before. But I feel like nobody really outgrows it. I feel like the older you get, you just learn to manage it better. But I feel like we all still do care about fitting in to an extent. And those people who say they don't, I feel like they're lying. Because I'm like, I don't know. But you really need to know that don't expect praise from other people. Like, if you feel like you did a good job, why does it matter what this other person thinks? Like, why do we care heavily on the opinions of others when they may not even be feeling that sure about themselves? Like, they probably feel like crap about themselves, but they give other people a compliment to look good. I mean, to help them feel better about themselves, or to have somebody else feel good. So just seek eternal validation is the main point I want you to get out of this message. This is something I thought of pretty recently. So, for a very long time, or at least pretty recently, for the past few years, I feel like I'm a very straightforward person. Like, I would let people know, not like very straightforward, but I would kind of most likely make my intentions known by my approach. So if I want to befriend someone, I would ask them to hang out, do whatever you do when you're trying to make friends. But I realized so recently now that it's so important to make connections with people without the intentions of them becoming like your new best friend or even a good friend. Like, it's so important to just make connections with people. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm trying to use them for this, but it actually is good to have a lot of acquaintances or casual friends. Like, you don't have to be intimate with every single person. Like, it's just good to have good conversation skills, to make good connections with people. We could all learn things from other people. And as I said before, it's not like you're trying to use them, but just broaden your circle, your social circle. Like, you don't have to talk to every person with the intentions of them becoming a good friend. Like, they might be useful for something else. You may need a reference for a job interview in the future, and there that person is. So just lower your expectations, but broaden your social circle. Last but not least, the final point that I would like to make, the final thing that I've learned so far from being 30. Don't let people intimidate you. Like, seriously, why do we keep putting these people up on a pedestal? And they don't need to be there. We are all equal. Have confidence in yourself. Don't be cocky. Know that you're just as good as somebody else. You're just as flawed as somebody else. But don't let people intimidate you because you think they're of higher status, or you think they're super special, or you may even have a crush on them, whether romantically or platonically. Like, nobody is that good that they could make you, that they have the authority to make you feel less about yourself. Nobody on this earth has that power and authority. So be confident, be bold in your approach to people, and know that you have what it takes. So this is it. I hope you all learned something from this video that I made. Share in the comments below what point you resonate with the most and why. And tell me, what have you learned so far being in your 30s? And if you're past your 30s, what advice would you like to give to those who are currently in their 30s or will be in their 30s pretty shortly? Thank you, and hope you have a great day.